because that's a struggle of mine. I always forget to record. Okay, hello. I'm going to put in the comments right now my IPA list that I shared with my team chat. If you are in my downline, then you already have this, but I just always want to put it here just in case anybody wants to write them down if you want them for another day. Today, I want to go a little bit different than a normal IPA Zoom because I feel like there's only so many times that I personally can get on a Zoom and just go over like the same thing over and over and over again. Because for the last 2 years, well, maybe like a year and a half, my IPAs have been what I just put in the chat. And I do that every single morning. If you're in my downline, you see every single day they're the same things, right? Because it builds like you're building consistency, you're building momentum. When you do the same things behind the scenes, that's how you kind of build it. So we're gonna do, for the most part, the basic ones that you're gonna do one time. But then I also want to talk about some things that I've been incorporating into. Don't mind my screen moving. Rylan has found his hands and is grabbing everything possible. I also want to move into a little bit and this is something I got from M a couple months ago. I was like, I need to switch things up, and her and I were talking and she gave me some ideas, and I've just been incorporating them in weekly. So I want to talk about some of those. Once we get to posting, I'll kind of go over those a little bit. So first and foremost, make sure that you did your self-development. If you didn't, hop off of here. I promise this is recorded. I will share this, but you really need to make sure that you pour it into yourself before you can pour into your business. And I say that every single time. I'll probably say it till I'm blue in the face. But the next thing, if you have not done this, or if you have, great. If you've already done this, then just post a picture of this Work With Me Zoom. Remember, it shows the community. It shows just that you're not in this alone, but make sure you have your products on your stories. If you are like me, what I really like to do, and I've shared this tip a couple times, is I save in my phone all of the different all of the different pictures that I take of my products, and I have an album. I've talked about this before also of so go ahead and take your product pictures and put them on your story while I'm chatting. Sorry, I have gift to gab. If you have an iPhone, in your iPhone under albums, you can have different albums, right? So I have mine organized to where I actually have one that has like opportunity stories in it, products in it, stuff like that. And they're kind of split up. So I have product stories, meaning if I'm doing customer reviews before and afters, I have an album for that. I have an album for my 3 steps in the morning. Cause sometimes like mom brain hits real hard, and like, God forbid I take my capsules without taking a picture of them first. Like I have those days, right? I'm like, now it's a part of me, but some days like I just go with the flow and I take them and I like go about my day, and it'll be like 10:30 and I'm like, wow, I took those 2 hours ago and I forgot to put them on my Instagram. And so once I'm up working my business on my phone, I can pull older pictures that I've already taken of them and kind of put them on there. So that way it's still me, if that makes sense, and not like a stock picture. So I really like to do that. And then I have an opportunity story album also. So if you do not have things organized into albums, take some time today and create some albums within your phone. Trust me, it saves you in the long run. Okay, so we should have on Instagram and Facebook a picture of our steps that we did, and a picture of, sorry, it says my internet's low, and a picture of the opportunity, or not that, sorry, this Zoom, Work With Me Zoom. I can't speak today. And if I lag in and out, don't go anywhere. It's just my Wi-Fi. Everyone in our community is working from home, as I'm sure everyone around you guys are. So our Wi-Fi is lagging hardcore. It's not used to all these people on it. So next, what I want to do is I want to share a story on Instagram, Facebook. What are you doing? What's in front of you besides this? Do you have your self-development in front of you? Do you have your dogs? Do you have your kid? Do you have what you're eating for breakfast? Do you have any of those things in front of you? If you do, post it, share it. I hear so many times, well, I don't have anything to put on my stories except for Thrive. But really, it's just you probably think, well, I'm boring, because that's what I used to think all the time. Not calling you boring, but I'm just saying I used to think all the time, like, I don't have things to share because I'm boring. I literally sit on my couch and watch Harry Potter like 37,000 times, and it's fine. I have them all recorded. We know all the lines in the house. Like, it soothes my 6-month-old child to hear Harry Potter because we watch it so dang much. And that's fine. So I literally will post a picture of my screen having Harry Potter. That is relatable, right? Because when I said that, how many people in here laughed and were like, yep, I've done that. Or when there's a Harry Potter marathon going on, like, my butt is watching it. It's on our TV, right? It's relatable. Share things like that. You aren't boring. You're just in your head telling yourself that you don't have things to share. You could literally share what you're doing right in front of you, and it clicked to somebody else too, right? Or they're going to be like, oh my gosh, that's my favorite movie. That's my favorite episode. That's this, that's that. Or I love avocado toast too. Whatever it is, people are going to relate to it. What I want to do next is I want to interact with stories. And just a little reminder, what you put on your Instagram story. Hi, Jenna. What you put on your Instagram story, you're going to also put on your Facebook story. So if you just hit save and then put it over there, that goes a lot better than linking your two stories. I've had a lot of people asking me about linking. A lot of times when you link, it tells Facebook or Instagram that you're a robot, and it pushes your algorithm way down because they're doing it for you. So technically a robot is like doing it. So it flags your account as opposed to you doing it by yourself. Hey, Travis. Everyone's over there in that little box, Em. It's a family affair this morning. What's it called? So make sure that you are doing them yourself. Save them and move them over there instead of just having it all done for yourself. So we're going to interact. What my favorite thing to do, and if you've been on IPA Zooms with me before, is I take about 5 minutes at a time and I do time blocking. But what I do is I scroll and I do like one big whoosh across my stories, and I go all the way to the last one. The reason I go to the last one is because the first couple ones that you're doing, I'm sure they're people that you talk to daily or that you look at their stuff. Like, my first ones are always like Britt, Katie always pops up, Rob always pops up. Like, the people I talk to every single day pop up on that first couple ones. And then I find myself like going through their stuff, and no offense, I love I love Katie, I love Britt, I love Rob, but I don't need to interact with them. Like, Rob is 2 squares away from me on the couch. I don't need to interact with him on Instagram, right? So what I do is I scroll all the way, and I should post to Facebook stories separate, not automatically with it. Yeah, separately. So like save it and then upload it yourself. So that way you don't get as like a bot. But so what we're going to do is we're going to scroll all the way to the back, and we're going to start interacting with the last story, working our way to the front. If you don't have anything to say, don't say, just move to the next one. And an interaction is not a swiping up and doing like a 100 or the clappy hands or anything like that. Interaction is like a sentence. If they were sitting next to you on the couch, what would you say to them? That's how I do an interaction. So if you are going through and you are doing a bunch of like swipe up and just sending them emojis, I can tell you I get hundreds of those from other network marketers all day long, and I don't respond to them. Not because I like don't have anything to say to them, but it's like, what do you say to a hard eye on a dog, right? Like, thank you. So think about it. If someone comes into your inbox, you want to have a conversation. So let's do that for about 5 minutes. And just moving your way to the front. And again, if it's a thriver, skip over their story, right? Right now we're trying to interact and build those relationships with non-thrivers, because thrivers aren't our potentials. As much as we love our sideline sisters and sideline brothers, we don't really need to spend our 5 minutes that we're time blocking to build our business interacting and building relationships with them. So we'll go for about another 4 or 5 minutes, and then we'll move on. Okay, let's go ahead and finish up our last interaction. I'm just going to talk a little bit about our next one, which is going to be interacting with posts. So keep finishing up your last one, and then we're going to move on to interacting with posts. So on Instagram, my favorite way, I have two favorite ways to interact with posts. And the first one, I'll just go ahead with the first one. If you don't have a business type, if you have a personal account, right, you won't have this quite yet. I don't think they've rolled out fully to personal accounts, but if you have a business account, you're going to have this. I have my account set up as a creator, not necessarily a business. Mine's just a creator account, which I really, really love. It gives me all the insights. It lets me see all those different things. And I get a lot of people that ask me how I see like who saves it, or well, not who saves it, but how many saves, like if I have people that are sending my posts, when I see how many people have viewed my account or how many people have seen a post. So I know kind of my daily routine of what content it gets the most interaction on my page, if that makes sense. It's because I have a creator account. So if you have a personal account, you won't have this way to interact quite yet, I don't believe. Correct me if I'm wrong, they might have rolled it out. But when you go to your Instagram page, you're going to hit following. So the people you're following, up at the top, there's going to be categories. It's going to say least interacted with, most shown in feed. What I do is a couple ways. I will, and again, time blocking. So do 5 minutes here and then put your phone away or move on. And then the next time you're going to do interacting, do it the second way. If you don't have that least interacted with section quite yet, or you kind of want to interact with other people in different ways, I like to, and I say this every single time I do a work with me Zoom, is are two on the right hand side. If you go down, the first person you follow, above it, there's going to be a circle, and there's going to be an arrow going up and an arrow going down. It's just a tiny little circle. You're going to click that, and it's going to pop up, and it's going to say sort by. And right now it's going to be selected as default. If you change it to latest, it's going to be like the people or the person you just started following like 5 minutes ago, right? So the last person you followed is going to pop up, and it's going to put it in order by that. I like to go in and interact at least once or twice a day in that section, because it's new people that I really probably haven't formed relationships with, because their stories wouldn't be at the top, right? Their posts wouldn't necessarily be on my news feed yet, because we haven't kind of interacted with each other. So this, every time you click on somebody's new that you have not interacted with their profile, it basically tells Instagram that you're interested in them, and it's going to start showing you their stuff. So when you spend your time in both of those different sections throughout the day, again, don't get bogged down, don't get lost in here, but I like to spend like at least 5 to 7 minutes ish time blocking in each of these sections instead of just scrolling, because I feel like when I'm scrolling, it's the same people over and over again. A lot of times it's thrivers that are like on my team, and as much as I love to love on y'all, I want to build new relationships, right? We're in this to help others, and if we're constantly just back and forth with each other, we're not really opening and broadening our horizons. I was going to say literally all mine are celebrity accounts. Do you mute celebrities? So again, when I'm interacting, I'm in these two sections. So pick one of those sections and start interacting, right? Let's add value. Let's click on their page, look at their story, right? So when I'm interacting, I go to their page and I look at their story. If I have something on their story that I want to say or relate to, I start there. Then I go to their post and I click on the first one, and I'll give it like a love, like a heart. And then I'll read it. If it's something that I have to add to, or the picture is something I have to add to, I'll add a comment in the caption or on their post. So that's what I do when I interact with posts on Instagram. I spend more time building those connections of actually one-on-one with my new people or the least interacted with section. And then I go and I kind of do a double duty between story and posts. That way they're now pushed to my newsfeed. The next section underneath, if you're still on that sort by, it says date followed earliest. Those are going to be the people you just started following, like when you first made your Instagram account. So like mine is like my mom, my cousin, like all the way from like back to like 2007, whenever Instagram was first created. Those are those people. So if you are looking to like reconnect with people that you haven't seen any like in a really long time, you can also go there. I spend most of my time in least interacted with and date followed latest. So let's go ahead and do another like 4 or 5 minutes in one of those sections, and just whichever section you were not working in, note in like kind of your head or on a piece of paper or in your phone, so you know when you go back to your time blocking to do more interactions, you can start on that next one. So I'm going to go interact. If anybody has any questions, pop them in the comments, or always you can unmute yourself. Okay, keep interacting. I just want to touch on one thing that I had on my IPA list for you guys. I put a little like asterisk kind of underneath interact with posts. And I said, focus on your potentials list and really interact with them this week. This was something that I talked about in my PPA idea Zoom that I did last Monday. And what I've been doing recently is, and if you've been a part of our tribe for a little bit and on a couple of my work with me Zooms or trainings, is I'm a huge fan of my notes in my phone and using lists. And I have my potentials list, right? So I still have my potentials list from 2019 when I first started doing it. So over a year ago. What I have been doing is going back to my 2019 potentials list and interacting and like making sure that I still have connections and relationships with the people on that list. Just because it was a no for them then doesn't mean they're still not watching and interested, right? So for me, I never want to close a door just because it's been a year. I have people that literally last week when we were doing all the stimulus stuff, I had people that were reaching out to me that had been watching me since I started in December of 2017. So just because it's a new year and those people were on a 2019 potentials list does not mean still don't interact with them. So what I like to do is I spend some time over in my potentials list, not just this year, but 2019. And I go through their pages again and I interact with them, or I make sure that like basically that they're still seeing my stuff and that the algorithm hasn't hidden me. So if you are working off of my IPA list in the chat option of this, then that is what that means. And so when I am doing my time blocking, I do my least interacted with, my latest followed, and then my potentials list. So I break it up throughout the day. And then I also, not only on Instagram, I go and I interact on Facebook, which is where I want to head next to our most recent. And sorry if my phone goes off on my computer. I don't know how to turn that off, and I don't even know how it got turned on. So one of these days I will figure that out. So I apologize for the dinging. But Let's go over to Facebook, finish up that last interaction on Instagram, and then let's go over to Facebook. And I want you guys to spend about 5 minutes interacting with Facebook stories, just like we did with Instagram stories. Go through Facebook stories, right? If you're having not a lot of people, I've heard this a lot. Let me step back a little bit. Sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. I've heard this a lot that people always say, I feel like my Facebook stories do not get noticed. Well, you have to think about it. When Instagram and you first started using Instagram stories, you started interacting with Instagram stories. Therefore, people started seeing your Instagram stories, right? So if you want more people to see your Facebook stories, you have to interact with other Facebook stories. So let's spend about 5 minutes going through Facebook stories and interacting and making those connections and just going from there. Again, if it's a Thriver, I have all Thrivers muted on my social media accounts. Personally, just because if I want to go show post love, I can click on their account and go do that, right? I don't need it when I'm trying to do my time blocking IPAs throughout the day. As a mom whose baby loves anytime I have my phone to all of a sudden need me for the rest of the day. If I have 5 minutes, I want to use it to the best of my ability. And if I'm interacting, I want to make sure I can interact with people that will be potentials and not other Thrivers. So mute other Thrivers if you are like me and you want to kind of clean up your space. I have all other Thrivers muted. So let's do that for about 5 minutes on Facebook stories, and then we'll move on to Facebook posts. And then we'll go ahead and talk about posting and some tips that I have been doing for the last month or so to really up my algorithm with posting. How do you mute their stories? I think in the top right on Instagram, if you click on the top right, it gives you the option to mute stories or mute posts. But on Facebook, I think you just have to go into their Facebook and unfollow them or unfollow stories. It's different. On Instagram, it's called muting them. On Facebook, it's called unfollow. So on Facebook, you can unfollow somebody and still be their Facebook friend. Where on Instagram, if you hit that unfollow button, they're not going to see it. Hold down on the circle too. Oh, there you go. You can hold down, thanks, Jules. You can hold down the circle and unfollow or mute that way. I hope that helps. Okay. So we'll go about like 3 more minutes of interacting on stories, and then we'll move on to posts, and then we'll also talk about posting a little bit. Okay, let's go ahead and finish up interacting with our stories. And let's move on to, and I'm going to try and explain this because I know a lot of people get lost because it's in different places. And I'm honestly not the best person at explaining anything. So I'm going to try to do this as best as I can. If you have been on my IPA Zooms before, then you know the most recent section and how to find that in your phone. I suggest going there and doing interactions. If you don't have the most recent, what you're going to do is you're going to go to your Facebook and you're going to click on the bottom right, those 3 lines that take you basically to like everything on Facebook of like yours. And you're going to scroll down, and mine is it updated, so it's like a box, and it has it's like blue and white. It almost looks like a news feed, basically like a little like newspaper is the emblem, and then it says most recent. If yours is not one of those options, I want you to go to the bottom, and it'll say see more with a drop down arrow, and that icon is 4 shapes. Basically, it's a square, a circle, a triangle, and a heart, just like that, in like a box almost. Click that and more will pop up. So I'm going to talk about that, Aubrey, also. I'm going to talk about that. Hold on one second. So for me, I click that and it repopulates your news feed, basically bringing you to a new one. I sometimes use that app. Becca, I was going to talk about that in a second too, but this is where I start first. So if you notice that you have a ton of thrivers, a ton of ads, or a ton of groups in this section, right? That's the algorithm telling you that that's what you are seeing the most on your newsfeed as far as new posts. I want you to hide them. If they aren't something that's going to serve you when you're trying to interact, hide them. If it's groups, I personally have most of my groups hidden for the purpose of I go into my groups to interact, right? If I'm doing that kind of interaction for my day, I go into that group and I'll do like the searching of the keywords, I'll go through posts, I'll do stuff like that, right? But when I'm interacting with posts of my Facebook friends, I like it to be actual posts of people that I'm already friends with so I can build relationships, if that makes sense. So there's all different kinds of interacting, but if you try and do all of your interacting of all different kinds, groups, people you follow, Facebook friends, post love, all at the same time, you're not able to really grow in one aspect. So I hear all the time, how do I form relationships with people on social media without really knowing them, right? Or how do they know that they can trust me? I break up my interactions. You saw how I break up my Instagram interactions with least to newest to latest, right? I do that with Facebook. I go posts, friends, and then I do my post love with my team. So those are my 3 interactions, and I don't spend too much time in any certain place. I literally do 5 to 7 minutes at a time in each one to time block, and I don't do them all at once. So in the morning when I'm doing interactions, I could do my friends on Facebook, right? At night when I'm doing interactions, it could be catching up 5 minutes of post love for my team. In the middle of the day when I'm doing interactions, it could be going through some of my mom groups. So I'm switching it up so I'm not overwhelming myself of trying to be on Facebook with it like this to my face, especially during this time. It could be easy to sit down and get lost into scrolling for your phone. So let's go ahead and interact through that most recent section and clean it up. If you notice that there's a lot of ads, if you notice that there's a lot of thrivers, if you notice that there's a lot of groups, hide them, unfollow them. I hide every single ad, not because it's going to make them so they don't, like, it's part of Facebook, they're always going to pop up, but at least it limits them in that section for me. I unfollow all of my groups because when I'm ready to interact and go and search things, I can go into that group specifically. Other thrivers, I unfollow because if I'm going to go do post love, I'm going to go to their page and do it, right? I don't need it bogging down my my newsfeed. Sorry, words are hard today, y'all. Another question that I saw was the Friendly app. If you've been doing work with museums before, you know that I use an app called Friendly. I use it still, but I've been doing more interactions lately through my most recent and making sure that I'm cleaning up my personal newsfeed before I'm going to that app. So sometimes I maybe use it like once every like 3 or 4 days. But I also want to make sure, because it is a third party app. So I really want to make sure that when I'm interacting, I'm getting all of my new people or all of my friends. And I don't know, maybe tell me I have trust issues. I probably do, but I'm not going to like sit there and fully trust my entire business to a third party app. So I throw it in there every now and then, but I really like the most recent section because it also helps clean up your overall news feed, because what you unfollow in that most recent section is going to be what's unfollowed on your overall news feed. So go ahead and interact for another like 5 minutes or so through these posts. Another tip for interacting with posts, always heart, like, do a reaction to it. And then when you are commenting, again, as if they're sitting next to you right now, what would you say? You wouldn't say like, yes, girl, with the clapping hands, right? You wouldn't send them an emoji. It would be an actual conversation. And that's how you build that value. That's how you do it intentionally. When you go into these interactions with intention and adding value, as in you have actually something positive or something to relate to what's going on in that post or that caption. Or if you're like me and it's like a picture of a dog, like that's, you won me over there. Like, yes, babies are cute. I love babies, but I am the first to comment on an animal pic before I'm going to comment on a child pic. I don't know. Call me whatever you want, but dogs are just like my life. I love them. And so for me, I interact a lot with fur moms, and I'm just like, oh my gosh. And I could go all day talking about our dogs. Right. So for me, that's a really easy like topic for me. So find something that's an easy topic for you and run with it. Right. Find those people that you can have those conversations with and build those actual intentional relationships. Okay, so keep interacting. I just want to talk a little bit about something that I have been doing different, that Em and I were talking about a couple months ago, and I've really been serious about adding into my daily routine. So posting, we all know that we don't need to post 37 times a day, right? You just don't need to. I don't know any other way to say it. You just don't need to, right? Like if you have one amazing business or product post, like that's it, right? That should be enough for anybody that wants to come to you. If you are sharing from, and it wouldn't be a training that I'm doing if I didn't mention this, if you're not sharing from your fives, then I don't know any other way to add value to that post if it's not coming directly from why you're using the products, why you're here from the comp plan, or just like you as a person, your brand. So as I do at least one business post a day, right? I don't do any more than that unless it's an announcement like of someone on my team earning a bonus, VIPs, the stimulus, anything like that. So unless it's that to me doesn't count as a business post, by the way. If I am going to make a post like that, I still need to add to my personal business. You can cheer someone on, but you still have to work your business, right? So for me, it's kind of like when I talk about opportunity stories, right? You did one yesterday. That was yesterday. They only last 24 hours. Do another one today. So once that's off of your story, go and do another one. And we're going to do an opportunity story during this Zoom also. So I put on, if you're going off of my IPA list, I put on today to post, share you, why are you here, whether it be products or comp plan. This morning, why did you decide to show up? This morning when you woke up, why did you decide to show up? Ask yourself. Did you decide to show up because you were exhausted and the products were literally saving you, and then it gave you that boost and you were like, I'm owning today, like this is my day? Or did you show up because you were like, our comp plan, like our company, our team, all of that? Why are you here today? I choose a why every single day. Of course, we all have an overall why, but I want you, when you wake up, to ask yourself, why today? Why are you going to hustle today? Why are you going to get that fire burning inside of your tummy today? Right? When you have a why for your day, you operate out of intention so much more. You're there to serve others, right? You're there to show up. And for me, when I have a why of why I'm on social media, or why I'm here in my team chat, or why I'm doing this work with me Zoom, it gives you so much more to show up for. So make one post about why you are showing up today. Jess said her why equals, I don't want to go back to my 9 to 5. Girl, I do not blame you. Like, share it, scream it from the rooftops. That is why you are showing up today. So on the other end of that, what I want to talk about, and if you follow me on Instagram, then you kind of I've had a lot of people ask me how come I'm doing this or XYZ, right? Or if it's just part of my thing. Sorry, y'all. Sorry, y'all, just had to yell at the dogs real quick. Welcome to my life. And here, I can take the baby if you want to wrangle the dogs real quick. Yeah, I think you have to say the name because it's FedEx, right? Oh, okay, cool. Thank you. Sorry, y'all. Okay, so back to regularly scheduled program. What I do on my Instagram is I make one business post and I make one business post on Facebook, right? Thank you. But what I also do is on Instagram, I have been posting 2 times. But my second post is nothing to do with the business, nothing to do with the products. It's about me. It's about my family, right? It's about my branding fives. It's a picture of our house. It's a picture of my dogs. It's a picture of Rylan. It's any sorts of thing, right? It's a picture. So to me, that is me showing me outside of the business. For a little bit there, every single square on my Instagram was business related. Yeah, the pictures weren't, but the captions were all business, all product related. And I started to realize that I tell you guys that you were somebody before you joined network marketing and you had a following, whether it be 2 people, 3,000, 20,000 people that followed you before you joined this business. You still had people that followed you before you were here, right? And then a lot of times we join network marketing and all of our content switches. So for me, what I do is, and I do it, and I don't do it every day, but I do switch it in there maybe like 3 or 4 times a week. I'll have 2 posts a day where one of them is business and one of them is just one of my branding 5s. Like today, I literally just did a picture of Rylan and I said, Happy Monday. It allows people to see you. It allows people to get to know you on a different level. It allows people to see that when you join this industry, it doesn't take over everything, right? You still are you. So I want to suggest today that if you have not made your business post, get that up first, right? Take your time and get that up first because that is super, super important. So get a business post up today. And then if you notice that you get it done after this or in the middle of the day, maybe tonight, put up another picture. Oh, that's my hair. Thank you so much. Thank you. Okay, thank you. Sorry. Put up another picture on Instagram. Make it of you and your 5s. It literally doesn't have to be a picture of your face. Most of my branding pictures on my Instagram that share about me are like the pictures of my living room. And the reason I only show my living room is because that's the only thing I've decorated so far in my home. The world shut down when I needed to go decorate the rest of the house. So we're just straight up looking like I live out of my living room because I basically do right now. But that's why I only have living room pictures. When the world opens up again, I will go more pictures of my house because home decor is part of my 5s, right? My Instagram is Lindsay Reed, but with an extra Y. So LINDSEYY and then REID, for those who are asking. So like this morning, I put a picture up of Rylan, and then later today, I'll do a business post picture. So that is something that I would really, really suggest. It's Monday. So start it today and then try and do it 3 times this week. My insights jumped through the roof when I started adding more than one picture. And this was a tip that Em gave me. She was like, well, have you started stop sharing about just everything business for the last 2 years? And I was like, oh, well, there we go. That would be it. My views were down. I want to suggest that everybody start that today if you don't already do that. And then another thing I want to talk about real quick is, and be working on a post right now while I'm gabbing, if you can think through my gift of gab, I apologize. But another thing I want to talk about is hashtags. Using hashtags on your pictures, but using the hashtags that relate to you. So if your pictures of you and your dog, don't go hashtag, and you don't have kids, don't go hashtag like mom life, boy mom, girl, you know what I mean, momable. Don't go hashtag those. Make it relatable to you because you're gonna find your people way, way quicker and much more authentically when you're using hashtags that have to do with you. Like for me, debt-free was a huge part of my journey. So I hashtag a lot of debt-free stuff when it comes to my captions because we have been able to pay off so much debt and because this industry has allowed that for me. So during my entire journey, I've always talked about debt-free. So that's a huge one for me. My home decor, that's a huge one for me. Find hashtags that work for you and run with them. What filters? I use presets. I personally like to put my hashtags in the comments. I don't know, Britt was saying like a couple weeks ago that messes with it and like they don't get seen all the time, but I haven't had any issues with my pictures. When I look at my insights, I still have a lot of views from my hashtags and I just think it looks cleaner. I was like, I think I had PTSD from like my last company. And so I just don't like to make things look like that, if that makes sense. I think it just looks better for me personally, but you do whatever is best for you. It isn't affecting. There we go. Britt just said it's not affecting. Yeah, I didn't notice it was never affecting me. Sorry, y'all. So use hashtags. Find some that work for you and run with them, right? But switch them up. So if you're gonna do a picture of your family or a picture from your 5s, hashtag around your 5s. If you're going to do a business post, hashtag around business. If you're going to do a product post, hashtag around products and switch it up so you aren't using the same one over and over and over again. How do you put the lines without hitting the space bar. I just do, if you go onto your keyboard on Instagram, hold on, I'm gonna exactly tell you. So if you go to your keyboard on Instagram, you hit 1, 2, 3, it'll say return. And I do, you can hit return all the way down, or what I do is if you go to your 1, 2, 3 keyboard and then above that, it's a pound sign, a plus, and an equal. If you hit that, on the far right, there's a black dot. You can hit that and then hit return and then hit the black dot and hit return. I do that about 5 or 6 times just to space it down. So it just, to me, that's aesthetically pleasing for my eyes. But that doesn't mean it's the right way or the only way. You could literally just hashtag in comments for all you want. Whatever works best for you. Just to me, that is what I do because I think it hides it a little bit better. And then as people start to comment, those hashtags aren't even the first thing that you see when you look at the picture. So next, what I want to talk about, and then this will end it, is opportunity stories. If you are using them every single day, then probably don't even need to hear me gab anymore. But for me, I like to switch them up. I will post a different one every single day, going around the different parts of our comp plan. You can use similar information of the first 14 days or no cold messaging or whatever you want to target and put them on a different picture. You can use apps like Over, you can use the video one. I think it's Mojo. I personally am not tech enough. I don't even know how to set a password on Zoom. So I'll read the chat in just a second. I don't even know how to do the password on Zoom. So I'm not going to sit there and spend hours trying to learn a new app when I can use Instagram stories perfectly fine. But I do love the way that they look. So if you do know how to use those apps and you love the way they look, run with it, go with it, switch your pictures out, right? When you put a new picture, it automatically, people are like, oh, it's a different story. Okay. I switch up my words all the time. I talk about different things. If you don't want to just do opportunity, opportunity, opportunity every single day, and you want to do every other, switch in there and put products, right? Do product reviews. If you look in our customer page and you look in our team pages and you type in before and after, or you go to the topics and you hit before and after, there's going to be so many threads about before and afters that you can use for stories. And if they are posted on those pages, you can use them. 100%. Use them, make content with it, but have something up every single day. And what I like to do is I like to wait till my one from yesterday is off. So it's not like opportunity story, 3 steps, Harry Potter opportunity story. So it's not like they're watching 2 opportunity stories in one sitting, if that makes sense. I wait till that one's off. They only stay on for 24 hours. So if you put one on today, right now it's almost 11 a.m. By tomorrow at 11 a.m., it'll be off. So if you get in the habit of doing it in the morning when you wake up, every single day you'll be able to add a new one around the same time. So that way you're constantly sharing. Using the same hashtags over and over will actually be considered a spam to Instagram and your hashtags won't be effective. There you go. For your op stories, do you just use your 5s to create them? Yeah. So I actually have on my YouTube, a opportunity training. If you've never watched that before, and I actually step-by-step make 3 or 4 opportunity stories with you, like over Zoom as like a group. So just to give you some ideas and how to kind of pull from those. So if you're new and you've never made an opportunity story, I walk you through kind of how to do a couple off of your 5s, but you could just do, and I get a lot of questions. Let me answer the question about how to highlight an entire picture, and then we'll go ahead and end this for the day. And when you're on your Instagram stories, in the top, you have your pencil. When you click that, like the second or third one, depending if you've updated your Instagram, is a highlighter. Click that, click whichever color you want, and then hold down your screen, and it will highlight your entire picture. You don't have to sit there. I've had people ask me how my finger doesn't get tired. You don't have to sit there and do this over your screen. Hold down your screen and it will do the entire screen for you. And it's super simple. So I hope that this helped. I didn't expect to talk for this long. So I apologize, but I hope that this helped. I'll load this to my YouTube and to our team page, and then we will get going. So have a great day. Happy Monday. See y'all later.